What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with yours, Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I am him. I'm a little rusty. I forgot my intro. I'm joined by my man Chris Bradford, writer for NJ.com, covering the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, normally I give a tease and I jump right into it, old Jim Rome style. It's been rusty, man. The schedule's got me all over the place.
Hey, you can do Rome and everything as long as you don't call me Chris Everett, Chris, all that other stuff that you did. That way, we're cool.
Man, it's the summer. I'll share a quick story with you. I did so. I went to grad school, graduated from USF, got my master's degree. And I had to do a thesis, a presentation on. I chose sports media and the evolution of sports media, and I picked that interview as the moment sports media turned. The moment it went from newspapers to sports banner or to what I termed coined as sports talk radio on television. That
Yeah,
it was at that moment. It was that moment you had the sports reporters and Jim Rome getting attacked by Jim Everett on national TV was the moment sports radio. It was the moment sports coverage changed. It was the moment sports talk changed. It was that very instance. The game
yeah,
was over.
it was.
Yeah, it was
I
man.
just,
It was like what 35 years ago, maybe
it had
longer.
the weird ESPN2 logo and graphics, so it was that long ago. It's so
It's
long
back
ago.
when
It's crazy.
newspapers were for $1, and
Oh,
if you got your name in the
memories.
paper, life was good. Anyway,
I'm so
speaking of
sorry.
seasons that passed. So Pete Prisco did his top 100, and I'll get to that in a second. But a guy that's missing off that top 100 or missing from the first 50 or so, I believe, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers decided that he didn't need to go to minicamp coming off an injury. He hurt when he fell. And it's rumors that he was in Egypt. And it was rumors that he was somewhere getting high, recreating scenes from The Wire. What in the world is going on with Aaron Rodgers? Like what think that I didn't I thought the Jets would be okay and contend for that division, but now I kind of want to rescind that pick. What is going on with Aaron Rodgers?
He knows that he has the Jets by what, and it's to the point now he has
That's a
to. He
great
knows he
point.
can do whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants because what are you going to do? Who are you going to have to replace him if he decides he's like, oh well, I think my ankle's hurting a little bit. I can't really do the mini camp, or I don't think I play first game unless you play. He runs that franchise right now. It's not Joe Douglas's team. It's Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers' team, which it's bad. And you look for somebody when you have that type of cachet. He can do whatever he wants. I mean, think I saw a video of him sitting next to Gordon Ramsay watching UFC. Like, well, isn't this
Yeah.
normally the time where you guys hang out with receivers or you're testing
Well,
that
he did
to make
some
sure everything's
receiver
good?
work the other day. He did some receiver work, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, and then see, like considering that you only had that, it's been a while since we had Garrett Wilson and everything. Like you need to get out not only to do well this year, you need to get out to a fast start because this AFC we all know is a really tough conference, and for him to I know he's been around for a very long time, but for him to go, let me wait, let me do this, and it just hurts everything. I think in the long term chemistry, and also it looks like he can get away with it. What about some of these younger players? Oh, if Aaron got away with it, let me do what I need to do. He can do this. You didn't punish him. Why am I getting punished? I just think it sends a bad message overall.
But I want to interject another thought that I had. Maybe he's just not ready.
Oof.
Maybe he knew he wasn't ready. Maybe physically he's not there yet. And rather than go and be, the Jets are saying all the right things that it was media, that it was a planned trip, or actually they're saying a lot of things that are all over the place. First, they're in contact with Aaron, did it not? It was accused, it was. But the fact is, no one's saying he looks great in minicamp because he wasn't there. And I just wonder at 40 years old, and I need to make correction. He was actually in the top 20. He was number 20. I said he wasn't in the top 50. I meant to say he wasn't in the top 20 because he was number 20 on Pete Prisco's list. But he was, we'll get to that in a second. He was like the fourth quarterback. But is it possible he's just not ready yet?
It is, but it makes you wonder why did he go through that whole charade at the end of last year saying, "Oh, I'll be ready in case we're ready for the playoffs," and he'll be going, what is he going to do? Limp out, and he's not really. And go, oh well, guys, I was just playing, or he knew maybe he didn't have confidence enough in the team that he felt that he could say that, which is a whole other argument you can go down with. I think personally, I think he's at the timeline because speaking to a couple guys who have torn their ACL, Achilles, so excuse me, they're back up and running. So one guy I was shocked. I saw Sean Bradley, the Eagles. He's running down to first base, still gingerly, but he's still running that. Zach McPherson, cornerback of the Eagles, he's running around. He's ready to go and take part in training camp. So I think he's probably ready. It's a matter of I don't know if he's as
They
sharp as
40?
he thinks he is.
Are they 40 years old?
Nah, yeah,
Okay.
but you know
Okay.
the magic mushroom zone. You know, you got to rub that
Yeah,
oil,
no,
whatever
no.
magic mushroom think that'd be
Let,
good.
let me tell you something, Chris. When you're 40 plus, those injuries hit different. Everything hits different. See, when you're in your 30s, it's like, oh, I'm good. Then one morning you wake up, you're in your 40s and you think you're good, and then you run backwards and you tear your Achilles. That's how it happened. You move back towards Achilles. So I don't think I just wonder if he is ready. And my biggest question with Aaron Rodgers is why? Why the drama? Why the foolishness? Why can it never just be football? Why do you only have one Super Bowl ring? Because it's never just about football. Why are you getting hurt backing up because you're old? It's just I personally am ready to move. Now I'm ready to just I'm ready for to turn the page on the Aaron Rodgers story. But you can't talk football right now without the guy that's in the media's biggest football market. Forget all the other markets. It's New York, North Jersey is the market. The Northeast Corridor is the market, and he's the biggest story. There's no story in DC. There's no story in Philly. There is no story in. I mean, the Giants aren't even worth discussing. So there's no story there to begin with. It is this dude.
And you have a franchise that hasn't won anything in a very, very long time, and you
That's the
know the way that
understatement of the
this same
day.
franchise is going. That's probably nice to know. What's the name? When the Wonder Years had to go back and act like the Jets were relevant, you know that's something bad when it came to them there. But you look at him; he's still going a long time. They want to see something, and they hung on every single thing this guy's doing. And it's almost like you start to see a couple forms cut pit. You start to feel like they're preparing themselves to be let down again.
Yeah.
And it's if that's the case, why'd you bring him in like in the first spot? I think personally, I know you signed him to that lucrative deal, but the headaches that were going to come with it, they're starting to show themselves now. And now as you're seeing this, they have to latch on to whatever hope they can. I hope he actually turns things around, and all of a sudden just switches like this at the beginning of camp and or beginning of the season, and he rolls on and it's not talking about, oh wow, I should have been a vice presidential candidate, or well, I should have hosted Jeopardy, or what have you. So many stuff, so many roads this guy's going down for.
Right. So Pete Prisco, writer for CBS Sports. Do you do a top 100?
No, I stay far, far away from that. I like the
You do?
summertime is usually I like to stay back and relax. I don't want to deal with any of this stuff. I don't
Man,
want to change stuff. Nah, man.
I used to love countdowns. When I was a writer for Bleacher Report, I used to love countdowns. They would give me so much time to research because first of all, you got to turn a story around in like a day or so. Countdowns give you a minute, they give you a minute or less, give you a minute to kind of sit back and go through stuff and create stories. And so your research shops, I used to love them, especially in July when people are looking for sports, looking for quality content. You can provide it. I always enjoyed it. The NFL is tough though. That's why I asked if you did. The NFL is tough. Obviously, Pat Mahomes is the top player in the NFL. Miles Garrett, number two. Are you on that bus?
No, and
Okay.
I know it's coming off one of those things where he's disruptive. Now, put him in the top 10. Yeah, I think he has that type of impact on that in the game. And you look at the way that his athleticism, defensive player of the year, you have all those accolades. I just look at some of the other offensive skill position. I also look at the system he plays in that he gets some help as well too. Now, don't get me wrong. If it was a redraft, I really, like I said, like if it's top 10, I think it's a redraft. He's going top 10 just because of the importance of edge rushers and everything else. I just look at some of these quarterbacks, some of these wide receivers, and then I probably start looking at some of these. I look at him as an edge rusher. I probably put him like 7th or 8th, somewhere along that line. I think he's very good. He had a very good season last year, but would I start my franchise with Miles Garrett and then have to backfill with offense? I couldn't do that personally when it came to that.
For me, the way I look at it is your top five should be undoubtedly quarterbacks. Like your
Yeah.
five best players in the NFL. It should not be, too smart for the room. And I liken it to this. If you were to trade Myles Garrett for a guy that I don't care too much for, but let's just use Josh Allen, who gets the better end of that deal?
Huh.
What team is better now?
Look at yet looking at Buffalo, they'd have to give up Josh Allen. Yeah, you had to throw in a couple first round pick or two, which is crazy when
No,
you
just
talk
an
about
even
Miles
swap.
Garrett.
Just even swap. You're
Yeah.
telling me, not
Oh,
you, but PP is telling me that Myles Garrett is better than Josh Allen. So I'm
yes.
saying, okay, you believe that. I'm going to Cleveland. I'm taking Josh Allen. You go to Buffalo. You take Myles Garrett. Am I going to see my Buffalo Bills in the playoffs? Am I going to see those Buffalo Bills in the playoffs?
No, not at all. Not
Exactly.
at all. They're sitting
Exactly.
back. It's just bad.
If you take Myles Garrett and put him on any NFL team and take away their starting quarterback, those teams all take a hit. Now, the argument is, well, they play different positions, different value, different importance. So then they can't make him the second best player in the end. It's not like the NBA where you drop a guy in there and then you drop LeBron James and things change. The NFL, it starts and ends with quarterback.
Yep.
A great quarterback can take you places that you normally would not be able to get you, or that you wouldn't be able to get to otherwise. That's all I was trying to say. Great quarterback is, and if you've got other pieces around him, then they're fantastic. But the fact of the matter is, even go back. The guy we talk about, Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow. I think he's the third ranked quarterback on the list. I disagree with that. And we'll get to that in a second. Say
Yeah.
Myles Garrett, put him in Sin City. Put Joe Burrow in Cleveland. Who's the better football team all of a sudden?
Oh, yeah, I still think you got. I think the Burrow. You got to go with Burrow. I really think you do. And in fact, because the only reason why I say that is if you took Myles Garrett out of that defense in Cleveland, I still think they're a top 10 unit. Just because you have Jim Schwartz that can run as defensive corner, I think they have they play sound defensively. And you look at the depth they have, they roll out in that defensive line. That's what I mean. That led them to the top pass rush in there. Sure, having a guy like Myles Garrett getting all stacks of it, yeah, that definitely helps. But I look at it and see like, okay, if you took him out completely and just go, all right, yeah, you go. If he say it was an injury, I'd feel a lot
Exactly.
still confident that they're still in the top five as opposed to if you took Joe Burrow out again, he was injured again. You don't hope that, but knock on wood, if he goes out again, you still have enough pieces offensively. You can still move the ball down the field and it'll still be a lot better. So yeah, I think Myles Garrett. Yeah, I couldn't put that out. But also, I think a lot of these lists too, it's got us talking. It's got us talking like, what's
Mm.
going on there? So probably knows it shouldn't be that high. And we know Pete sometimes likes to mix things up once in a while here or there. Let me
Mm.
put this down here. Let me put this up here and get started talking. Like, you had Myles Garrett this week? Well, he did his job. I'll give him that.
I can say I never did a list to get people talking. My list was always what I honestly believe. I honestly believe Bill Russell and Magic Johnson were better basketball players than Michael Jordan. And their teams winning proved that. Now, you can debate anything you want, but if you play basketball to win a championship, and you have one guy that won 11 championships, and you have another 11 championships in 12 seasons, 11 championships in, I want to say 13 years. You have another guy that played for an NBA championship or played for an NBA title or a conference title in 11 out of 13 seasons. And then you got another guy that won 6 titles in 14 years. I'm not a smart man, but something me thinks the other two guys were a little better. So,
I think it's the era. I think it's the era. I think plays a role in this too. Even what we're talking about right now in this one, I think in a passing era that we're seeing right now, you definitely got to go quarterback. When you look back at those basketball things, I think you see, especially those early years around those Russell years, to me there wasn't that many dominant teams. You had the Celtics. I mean, if you're going back that way too, you got the Celtics, you had the Warriors/Sixers, you got, and that's why I look at like, okay,
Hawks,
cool,
the
and where to throw
Royals.
all those guys. Like you didn't have that much, and those teams were a lot deeper because the expansion didn't dilute it. When you start
Mhm.
going towards the Jordan era, now you're looking at it's like, okay, you got the Pistons are going to try to beat them up. You got the Olajuwon, everybody down in the Rockets, they are still decent. That Karl Malone, John Stockton one, they were all right, but yeah, him and Pippen, like, yeah, they're too good. I think there was a lot more teams that I think it was a tougher road for him to go through in the 90s than I think it was, say, like when it came to like Russell and anybody else like that. And I'm not saying anything because Russell was going against Wilt, which is still good luck.
And Russell
That's
was going up against,
everything.
and I always say this, and this never gets included. Russell was also going up against Jim Crow and segregation.
True.
And that that
That is true.
that that to me is the mic drop. Like like imagine having to sleep in your car. Oh, go out and give me a game. You know what I mean? Imagine not getting one whistle. Like we watched Luca in the finals, and we're completely off track. What are you talking about? We watched Luca in
Yeah.
the finals, complain, and it drove everybody crazy. What do you think Russell was going through? What do you think Elgin Baylor was going through? You know what I mean? They did everything they could to break these men. So, but bringing it back to the NFL, that's when people say they get those lists to talk about people. I go into it maybe with a certain naivete. I believe Prisco believes that Myles Garrett's the second best player in the NFL, and I just as an
Ooh.
Eagles fan, watching Reggie White for years, and then watching Troy Aikman in Dallas, they have an appreciation and affinity for a quarterback more than I do a defensive end. Yeah, they may look like Tarzan and all that stuff, but dude, I need the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, fifth best quarterback in the NFL.
If I had to go Mahomes one, Roger, to me, it's still a lot to see. I think if you asked me 2 years ago, yeah, but I think the time off is really, really pushing him back a little bit. I'd probably say and I'm not saying like he's complete trash and you're like, what the heck is going on with this one? I probably put him 7, 8 right now. I'm probably confident. I still okay as much as knock Josh Allen stuff like that and Joe Burrow. I still have them right now. Seeing what he's done in recent history, I still think those guys are better. Actually, no, I'll put him 7 because I look there and you got Jalen Hurts. Like I think Jalen Hurts does a little bit more than what he does, but Aaron Rodgers, I think overall when it comes to command, reading defenses and everything else, I still think he's a little bit better. But I still you don't know injury wise with Aaron Rodgers. You don't know which way. You don't know what mentality he's going to be. So I don't think he's top 5 right now. I still say he's a top 10 guy, but it's fall each year he's going on. He's that retirement sunset's coming closer and closer. I think he's losing like a spot down. It keeps going down a spot here and there.
Well, let's play a little sports talk radio game because this is how I determined. I didn't have him in my top 5. He was the fifth best quarterback on Pete Prisco's list. He also has Burrow over Lamar Jackson. We're going to finish the show on that discussion because I was deeply offended by that. I was deeply offended by that. But would you take him over Josh Allen? That's a no. That's a no. You got to think that hard on it. You're trying to convince yourself. So that's a no. Would you take him over Tua? Really?
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
would.
Okay.
I would.
So would
It's
obviously there's
tough.
nobody in New England. Would you take him over Jackson?
No, Lamar
Okay.
Jackson to me is more dynamic. Way dynamic. He does it. No, no. He's my
Now
top
here's where
3.
I got a sticking point. Would you take him over Deshaun Watson?
No, I take Deshaun
No.
Watson still. Even with the shoulder
Really?
stuff, I'd still take him over Deshaun Watson over him. I think he still had that athletic ability and
And for people that
yeah.
disagree with that, consider this because this is why I went with Watson. You're talking about potential on Watson versus previous years for Rodgers. So it's not like
Yep.
you're talking about anything. You don't have a recent. It's not like you're giving. Watson hasn't done anything in a while. Well, bro, neither has Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Neither has Aaron Rodgers. Like it's been a couple years since Aaron's been dope too, because we saw in Green Bay look pretty damn good without him
Yep.
in the first run. So all right, so that's 3. I'm assuming you take him over Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
All
Russ,
right,
Russ, Russ is burning and is cooking right now. So now he's got to wait a little
Joe Burrow.
bit. I take Joe Burrow over him. I would.
All right, so that's 4. C.J. Stroud,
Stroud, I would take over him right now because I think of the upside. Yeah. I think even
Trevor
this year, I think he has a
Lawrence.
better year.
Yeah,
I take Aaron Rodgers. I take
okay,
Aaron Rodgers.
and I would agree
Ugh.
with you on that. Nobody in Indiana, Anthony Richardson. Nobody's talking about. Nobody's talking about anybody in Tennessee. We already. Did I do Mahomes already?
I assume he's number 1 no matter what. No,
Yeah.
yeah, he's number 1 no matter what. So yeah, you're not doing that. You look at the Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
I probably go. I'm going to regret this, but I probably go Rodgers because I
Well,
look at
that's five.
Herbert.
You got
Yeah,
five right now, and that's just the AFC. So
yep.
that doesn't include Jalen Hurts. That doesn't include Matthew Stafford. That doesn't include Green Bay's quarterback, whose name escapes me at this exact moment for some
Jordan
reason.
Love. I
Yeah,
I
Jordan
take
Love.
I take Rodgers right. I know he got hot right now. I still take Rodgers over Jordan Love right now because I know
Really?
Jordan Love got hot. He got
Mm-hmm.
hot toward the end of the year. He's working with the same. I think if you put Aaron Rodgers back in that offense, he would have gotten hot at the same thing as well too. I think he would have gotten
Mm-hmm.
more out of those receivers. So that's why I'd probably take him over Jordan Love right now.
See, I
But
disagree.
Love
Good.
last year, I think this year after we say that, we're gonna be like, Chris, what were you thinking? Love just put up a bunch of numbers. What are you doing? I think he has that ability to take another a huge leap this year. But as of right now, especially the way that the Packers ended the season, if Aaron was healthy, I'd probably put him on that team. I think he would do gotten a lot more out of those guys.
Now, I take the exact opposite. I feel like that team kind of flounders towards the end with Rodgers. I think Rodgers gets stale, and you have to consider, would Rodgers be healthy? Would he be healthy? He may still be able to play, but would he be the healthy? Would he be as healthy as Jordan Love was going down the stretch? You know, youth reigns supreme when you're talking about being healthy and guys not knowing what they're going, the ignorance that comes with youth, the enthusiasm that comes with youth because of the unknown. With Rodgers, for him, he would know what was coming, so there'd be no excitement there. Like the way the Packers flew around the football and flew around when they were in Dallas for that playoff game. I don't think Aaron Rodgers gets that out of them at all.
Well, it's the Cowboys, so we know it was going to be done when and done anyway. We knew that. You put Anthony Richardson on that Packers team, he would have led them over that one too because it was a race to the bottom. It was a race to the bottom. See who was going to falter that way too.
Yeah.
It was, but yeah,
But
it's rough.
I look at this and this Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Well, let me wrap the Aaron Rodgers door. So that, like I said, that didn't include Stafford, that didn't include Purdy, that didn't include any NFC quarterback. So that barely scratches him in the top 10. That barely puts him in the top 10.
He's about eight. He's about 7, 8. I'd put him
Yeah.
around there, 7, 8. Yeah,
So
he's
that I question that now. I know Lamar Jackson screwed us all. He screwed us all when they lost to the Chiefs. He did. He did. He did. You're gonna laugh. I know you're gonna laugh, but he did. He screwed us all. For those of us that expected him to rise to the occasion and have a Ravens 49ers Super Bowl, he wet the bed. Joe Burrow is not a better quarterback. Even healthy, he's not a better quarterback. He's not a better playmaker at that position. Is he a better thrower of the ball? Perhaps. But he's not a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. What say you?
I think right now Lamar Jackson's the second best quarterback in the league, right behind Patrick Mahomes. Because I know, and I think he's going to make a run for another MVP this year. I really believe that, especially with Derrick Henry next to him. And the benefit of that, I think, is also helped that Tom Monken put him in positions and didn't try to say, let me make him a traditional quarterback and just let him sit in the pocket, which I think he's still doing a lot better than when he first entered the league in terms of that. I look at that. Aaron Rodgers is nowhere. I don't think he's anywhere near in Lamar Jackson's league. You look at the dynamic ability to run. So you look at the fact that his ability just being on the field, how much it puts so many questions into the head, not only the defensive coordinator, but if you're the Mike linebacker, and you're trying to devise which way you're going to do, or you check it out. Oh yeah, I got to make sure I either spy him, and if you have a spy on him, you're running right past him. He does so much stuff that you just look and you're like, how you doing? And then we put Aaron Rodgers like, okay, I know I can keep him in the if I have to get the pass rush to. I have to rush 4 because if I blitz him, he's going to pick me apart that way. If I drop back 8, yeah, he'll buy some time. He'll pick me apart that way. But you don't have that threat of the run like you used to anymore in terms of that. So when you compare Lamar Jackson to almost any other quarterbacks right now, I put him. He's the second best one right now, and Mahomes is the only one that I think right now would give him a run for. That does give him a run for his money. And it's every year. It's like every year we always know 2 MVP candidates: Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and then you get a third quarterback sometimes pop up there. But as long as those two are playing that level, we're always going to be talking about them 1-2, 2-1, what have you.
Mahomes is it's weird because we were talking about Jordan, and Jordan at the era of his contemporaries was head and shoulders better than anybody else. Like there was no rival for Michael Jordan. And as time is going on, time has determined, what the truth was. Like they tried to tell us Charles Barkley was one of the greatest power forwards of all time. He was a really good power forward. Time has proven that that was not true. That was a lie. You know what I mean? Time has proven that Karl Malone was not one of the great. Karl Malone was a great power forward, but he was not one of the greatest power forwards of all time. So you look at the guys that Jordan played against. Time has shown us that those were lies. And I wonder when we go back to this Patrick Mahomes era, when we look at guys like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and think, will time show us that these guys weren't as good as we thought they were? Because Patrick Mahomes is so much better than everyone else.
I think the only thing that people will start trying to poke holes in eventually, especially is saying, look at the division he played in to get some of those stats. I mean, the Raiders, he keeps going in and out between the Raiders. You look at the Chargers, they have issues in terms of that. You look at the Broncos, they're hit and miss too. So you'll accumulate a lot of those stats, a lot of those wins, even though they're still in division. They've seen him well. He does a lot of that. You look at the way Lamar Jackson goes through that division. I think everybody looks back and go, there are always tough games. You didn't do it in the best of weather as well, too, because Baltimore, the cold AFC North, good luck trying to play in those games and how ugly they can get. But you still were able to get one, you were able to win those divisions or at least make the playoffs, especially as well, too, in a streak like that, and still throw everyone to make plays like that. So, if anything, I think the knock is going to be on the level of competition eventually for Mahomes. But even then, you still look at those numbers, it's still a video game like, especially early on. Now, and with that receiving core he has, I mean, for both, you say that for Lamar Jackson too, because there's been some ones you're like, wow, the tight end's like your best, your tight end's the best, well, both of them, your best tight end's your best receiver. And you look at the outside things like, ugh. So I think, especially the fact they were able to do that, I think that's going to go into credit. But the only one I think is maybe Mahomes gets it for a division he played in, because yeah, that's a
You
guaranteed
really,
10
you
more
really think
wins.
about it. We're discussing the top 100 and we're looking at this. There's no doubt, no question that Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL,
Right.
bar none. And you start going through sports, and yeah, it helps him to have Andy Reid, no doubt. Like no doubt. But he could have. I'm trying to think like. Tom Brady had Belichick, and they helped each other, whether people want to acknowledge that or not. They definitely helped each other. But he could have like Marty Schottenheimer at coach. I think he gets it done.
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. I think he gets
Oh.
it done. And
See,
go ahead.
I look at the way he got the most out of Donovan McNabb. Andy Reid got the most out of Donovan McNabb, got the most out of Alex Smith. We saw where Alex Smith went after that. Washington and everything else. Nah. They got that. Andy's a kingmaker when it comes to quarterbacks. I think you made a great point there too, because now you brought up something, because now when you look at this, you look at the offensive coordinators that Lamar went through and the QB coaches that he went through. It's like, and he was still able to do that. Monken, I think, is the best guy that he's had since he's been in the league, and that's saying something, because I think Monken still has some questions. Greg Roman, I know, did his thing a little bit, but Monken to me is a lot better. It does a lot more and suits him better, and it modernized it a lot to this current thing. So yeah, I would love to see Lamar under Andy Reid, because I think Andy Reid plays a big role in this too. Because if Lamar was with Andy Reid, good night. Good night.
And I'm gonna push. I disagree with you. I look at Patrick Mahomes and I'm watching something that I can't remember seeing. And I use the Michael Jordan analogy because Jordan was so far ahead of his contemporaries, but time has proven that his contemporaries weren't as good as we thought they were. I don't. I Lamar Jackson's a damn good football player.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he's. I can't stand. I don't like anything about Josh Allen, from his haircut to his to the gas he puts in his car. I don't like that dude. He's a good quarterback, though. Oh yes, he's a good quarterback. Dakota's a good quarterback. Generational talents. You got Lamar Jackson. Burrow, when he's healthy, is a guy that you can consider generational talent. I think Hurts, if he ever gets continuity, can be a generational talent. But look, Patrick Mahomes, any era, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, he's the best. He's the best. He would have beaten Tom Brady beat them. What was that? His first year as a starter?
Is it 20? the 20, not the 20, was it 2020 Super Bowl? Or did it just been 20, wait, the 20, I'm trying to think of his first one. I'm drawing a blank. I'm in vacation brain. I'm sorry, that one too. I'm thinking that one too.
Well, because so much life has happened since then. But yeah, the presidential debate has happened since then. Like disaster has since then.
Oh.
So I'll get you out on this. I'll get you out on this. Because we the show just went. Cause I had a whole rundown and it just went completely off the rails. But I prefer this.
Sorry.
No, I prefer this anyway because it's a great topic. Because I don't think we appreciate Patrick Mahomes as much as we should right now. And is there any chance? It's going on vacation, so I probably won't talk to you for about 2 weeks. Is there any chance that the Kansas City Chiefs are not holding a Super Bowl trophy this year?
Yeah, I really do. I look
Really?
at Baltimore, the Baltimore Ravens to me are a legit threat. I think to them, it's just going to be a race to see who gets the best record. Because I think if Baltimore gets the one seed again, and I know they've done it before and they had their shots and everything else, but I really think this is the year where if they get the one seed, yeah, and then I look at who could come out the NFC, and I used to think the 49ers. I don't see that happening. I used to think the Lions. I just don't know. I mean, the only thing I think the Lions could do it, but they probably play the most. They would have to play the ball possession game where they use those two running backs to wear them down, and then they're forced. I think there's too much. I think the Lions would have a. I think the Lions would have a shot. They're just playing ball control and play them. I think they would. I really do. The Eagles. Yeah, I still got questions about their secondary. They're still
Mhm.
young. You hope to get that one too. I think you got to put them in the conversation too. But yeah, I still think there's a. I wouldn't guarantee them coming out the AFC. I think they get the AFC Championship game.
Really?
Houston, yeah, Houston Tech. If they play Houston, I think they win. But I wouldn't be surprised if they shock them or whatever. I think the Chiefs get to the AFC Championship game. I think the Ravens, especially if they host it in Baltimore, I think the Ravens win and they go to the Super Bowl.
Ravens screwed me once. They're not going to screw me again. This time I'm paying attention. They're not going to get the drop on me again. I believed in Lamar Jackson last year, and he didn't just let me down. He proved that he wasn't that dude. He wasn't the guy. And he's a great, 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 great quarterback. He's not a guy that's going to overcome Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes makes all the plays that are necessary to win and all the plays you want to make to win, if that makes any sense. The
It
only
does. It does.
person that I believe, first of all, and I'm about to go really, really, you got to be anointed to be Patrick Mahomes. Like you got to be anointed. You can't be just a regular, really good guy, really good gunslinging. You got to be anointed to beat that mofo. It's Hurts. That's it. And if Hurts can't pull it together, then they're hosting. And I don't think Hurts will pull it together. Not because I don't think he'll have a good season, but I just don't. Patrick Mahomes is just special, man. It's 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 not like anything we've ever seen. He gets it right. He gets it right. And until he gets it wrong, everyone else will be chomping on what's left. Look at what I did there.
I like that. I like it. But he is nothing against him. He's still got a defense on the other side. I know they were one of the top units there. I don't know if they can repeat that 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row. They're going to get Spagnuolo's book is out. He saw what he did with this, and teams that saw what he did with this new group in that secondary because they're very young, and they've had all season to see what they can do, ways you can exploit them, ways a little, especially maybe using a little bit more motion to exploit maybe that area between that little triangle where the linebacker, the safety, and cornerback does. May have heard from some people that might be an area where you can really, really attack them in that little thing. You do that in that offense. So that it's not so much the Mahomes. I think that plays a role, but not so much the Mahomes. I just look at that Chiefs defense. And you put them in that cold, you put them in there at M&T Bank Stadium, and you got that crowd that's still raring to get back to the Super Bowl and win it this time because they're frustrated that they haven't done it yet with Lamar. It's just so much stuff that I wouldn't be surprised if we have an I-95 World Series and an I-95 Super Bowl. I would not be
On
surprised
that
if that
note,
happened.
I gotta let him go because we're gonna get cut off. He's Chris Franklin,
Oh, boy.
NJ.com. I'm Kwame Fisher Jones. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. We appreciate your time of year. Next time, be easy.